Hello and welcome to this Beard Clipper video. Now this is a really fun video and I really enjoyed making it. What I'm going to be doing is taking a sculpt from Mindwork Games of an awesome painting called Army of the Damned. Now I'm sure you know it, and when you see it I'm sure you'll remember it. But what I did was I made this built the sculpt and painted it, and then mounted it next to the painting, and I've got it outside room 13 just behind me there actually, and I love it. I look at it every day when I walk into my office and it's brilliant. So I really hope that you enjoy this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I do reply to every single one of them and they really motivate me, so do leave a comment if you can. But even if you don't, that's fine. I really hope you enjoy the video and thank you very much for watching. The theme for the TCU challenge for July and August is something from a painting. And as soon as it was announced, the time has come. I'm going to do... This came with the, it's a bit dusty. This came with the diorama. This is Boris Vallejo, Army of the Damned. And here is the resin diorama. I have number 56 of 180 of these. And I am going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm really nervous because honestly, I am probably not talented or skilled enough, certainly a painter, to attempt this. But you don't buy these just to keep them in the nice shiny black boxes. Though I am going to keep at least the label. So the idea I've got here, this hangs on my wall just outside of room 13 at the moment, and it's going to stay there, and I'm going to put a little shelf underneath it. And this is going to sit underneath it, so it's going to have the picture and then the diorama in front of it. So I do have this width. So what I could do is maybe cut this box up, get that awesome, the Mindwork awesome logo, get this cut out as well so that we can see what the number is, and build that and put that on a shelf and have it all as a lovely display. But what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to do very much tonight because I'm pretty tired, it's getting late. I'm going to have a look through the parts, I'm going to give them a wash. I'm sure that Mindwork wash their miniatures, but I'm going to give them a wash in hot soapy water, let them dry, and then I'm going to start assembling and painting. And I'm going to assemble them probably in 4 sections, or so I'm going to paint the figures. We've got a skeleton, we've got some other arms and what have you there, and some bodies here, so maybe 3 parts. And then once I've got these assembled and painted, and obviously I'll be painting the base as well, then I'll glue them onto the base and then we'll work on the bottom. And I've got a couple of months to work on this, so I can really take my time, which is going to be a great pleasure for me. I say I'm nervous, I'm also very, very excited. This is one of my favourite pieces of art. It's just awesome, absolutely love it, and I'm very excited to create the diorama, and I'm very excited to get into my Mindwork stuff again. I've done one so far. I did the puppeteer, and that turned out really well, really enjoyed that, but this is a step up in terms of size and in terms of awesomeness. So yeah, get the old warm water and soap and dishwashing liquid, and yeah, let's get these clean, and I'll bring you back when I've started to assemble them. I'll try not to make go into too much detail with this, but I will show more than I normally do for assembling miniatures, because frankly that's all this is going to be. Well, this has been washed and is now dried, and what I'm going to do now is look for any little bits of sprue that need to be cleaned up. As you can see, there's a little bit there, just from this bit of hair down to that bit of hair. Now most of these I'm going to be able to do just very carefully with a sharp knife, but even better with the snips, and then take the last little bit off with a knife. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to stick a YouTube video on and watch that while I work on these and clean up all the pieces before I'm then going to start to stick together into my assembly parts. But take your time on this, there's no need to rush, because the better job you do while you're cleaning up your model, the less things you'll have to hide with your paint job. So just take your time, take all the little bits off like that, and then you end up with a nice clean part. So there's a few bits on each, not lots, but just enough, which does need to be tidy. There's actually a tiny little bit on this bit of hair and a little bit of flash as well. So I'm going to get that done, and when I come to the next step I will turn the camera back on. So there was quite a bit more clean up than I expected, to be quite brutally honest, but so I've got hiccups as well, which is going to be annoying, but I've managed to get these cleaned up, and what I'm going to do now is start to glue them together. Now I'm hoping that there's not going to be too much filling needed, because my filling game is not that strong and it would be quite obvious. But what I'm going to do, just going to use some super glue, put a load in, and the good thing with this is it normally grabs quite quickly, so just hold it in place with the least gap possible, and hopefully that will go off quite quickly. So I'll get all these assembled. It's pretty obvious. I've still got to go through and clean up the skeletons. I've not started looking at those yet, but I'm going to do these main two first, get them done, get them primed and start painting them, and then I'll probably go and clean up and assemble the skeletons after I'm happy with that. So that is now set, so we can continue on this. You can see on here where I've had to do quite a lot of clean up on this, which is, as I said, it's a bit more than I was expecting. I was a bit disappointed, to be honest, and that therefore doesn't marry quite as well. There's a bit of a gap there which is going to need to be filled, but I should be able to do that with some of my Mr. Gap filler, whatever it is, the white stuff, hopefully. So yeah, not the greatest of, a bit far less clean than I was expecting, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, so this won't take me long, but I won't run the camera for the whole of it. We'll get these all assembled, and they will then be able to go to the painting bench, and I'll bring you back when I've got them all assembled, and show what they look like, and then we'll get them primed. Right, so it's time to look at filling these gaps, and I'm going to make use of the Mr. Dissolved Putty here, which is absolutely brilliant, and I find it best to apply with a toothpick. That's how I've found it best to get these kind of gaps, and you can see that there's quite a big gap at the bottom of his torso, which I'm quite disappointed about, to be honest, that it went together that badly to leave that much of a gap. But what I'm going to do is going to bring the filler in and push it around using the toothpick to get it into the gaps. If you've got a really old brush that you don't mind ruining, you can use an old brush as well, but I don't have one, and as I say, I've found that the toothpick gives a good result because it pushes it around. Now it might be that we need to do 2 applications of this. Don't try and hero it and do it all in one go. Just take your time, apply some, let it go off. It doesn't take long to go off, and then if you need to put some more in, you can put some more in. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick a bit of a YouTube video on, one that I will more likely listen to than look at, because this does take some concentration, and I'll bring you back when I've finished doing the filling, and then we'll probably be ready for priming these, and then start to assemble the other bits. So I'm going to get that done. I'll bring you back when I've finished. I've filled the gaps on these, and as you can see, also stuck them to some tongue depressors. Next thing to do is to prime. I use Vallejo surface primer, and I apply it with a brush. So I'm going to do that now. I will actually film again in a minute when I've finished, show what they look like. I don't often show the prime stage, but I figure that could be a bit of interest to someone. So yeah, I'll just get these primed and then bring you back, and then I'm going to start painting them. I've also offered them up onto the base. I'm not 100% sure how the skeletons go on the base, so what I might end up doing is painting the skeletons as they are, mostly, and then assembling them and then touching them up once on the base, because I'm not totally sure that I want to put them together, make a mistake, and then them not actually fit in place. So yeah, bit of a complex one that. There's no real instructions in this either, so I'm going off the artwork. So this is how much I prime. My normal technique is to use quite a lot of resin quite a lot of resin. Sorry, I've got resin on the mind because I just shot something about resin. Quite a lot of primer and spread it around. So start with quite a lot on and then move it around to make sure I get a good coverage. Rather than trying to start too thin, what I've found doing that is often it just stays too thin. But if you put a good amount on and then move it around, you can get a good coverage with this primer. And I'm quite pleased with that. So they will be ready to start painting. I will try to do relatively regular updates and explain how I'm doing it. I'm not a painting expert and I don't get much joy from filming painting because I struggle quite a lot to keep in shot. But I will try to at least show and explain what I'm trying to do so that if any of that is a useful tip, then you can listen. But yeah, I'm not a great painter, so fingers crossed I'll do okay on this. Well, I've actually started to make a start on this. And as you can see, I've gone for a crazy green underpaint because looking at the picture, there's quite a lot of green coming in his skin and in her skin. And so I thought I'd terrify myself, and I am terrified by doing this, by putting a big lump of green-black, which is what it is, black-green even, from Vallejo. So I've just sat down for my 22 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit more on this. But yeah, we'll see whether that works or not. I really don't know if it's going to. I think it's been worth a try. If it doesn't, then I can always wash it off and start again. But yeah, green underpainting. Who thought I'd ever do that? So I've had a look at this and decided to glue it all together. And as you can see, I've managed to get the two legs in. And I did that by first of all gluing in this leg here, which does have a very, very obvious place to put it. And then once that was secured, I kind of held the skeleton body in place and worked out roughly where this leg should go, and there is a very small divot there as well, so that's glued in nicely. So what I'm now going to do, and this has gone together really, really sweetly actually, is I'm going to put a little bit of super glue in each of the sockets, and it's just going to be a case of standing for a minute or so, hopefully no more, while it goes off. Now if you're impatient, then you could clearly get some accelerant, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be patient, I think. So it sits in, and I'm trying to do this without getting my hands too much in the way, but it sits in quite nicely. I've done it a couple of times without glue, and you should just be able to kind of slot it in. And if we look at what the angle is, the little kind of like peak of his hat, his helmet needs to be pointing roughly upwards. So maybe a little bit further forwards than that. There we are. And now we're just going to have to hold and wait for that to go off. Alright, so it's time to glue these on, which should be quite easy. I've just done a little bit of a dry fit. She actually doesn't need gluing. She stands up on her own, which is cool, or she did. So I'm going to glue her first, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to sit and hold your man Conan a little bit because he doesn't quite stand on his own quite so easily, but she does, as you can see. You can put her in there. There we are. So I'll glue Conan in, and then what I'll do is when this is dry, I'll do another. I'm going to do a little bit more painting once it's all assembled, just to kind of touch up any few bits and pieces. I might put a little bit of scenic material in to bring it up a bit more. But that is near enough done. Now, as you can see, well, there we're standing actually now. So yeah, very, very pleased. There's still some to do. I realised after I brought this up to assemble it that I'd actually forgotten to paint the little armband on the skeleton. But that's not the end of the world. I can do that very easily. And there might be a few more bits and pieces to do once I stare at it for a little bit longer. But I'll let that dry now, let that go off. I don't have to hold it, that's all cool. Let that go off and then finish up the painting, and then we'll go and work on the base, because as you know, this is going to be mounted below the painting. The painting is here. It's a bit big, a bit zoomed in, below the painting. So the painting will be on the wall and this will be underneath it, and it'll look really cool. Now I do still have this other skeleton, and I'm looking at it wondering whether I've made a mistake and it should actually be and I'm wondering whether it actually should be kind of like down here at the back, but I can't see where it would fit and glue. But I might yet do that as well. I might yet come in with and paint this up and stick this skeleton in behind and on the side or what have you, as if he's lost his lost his legs, but he's still fighting. So yeah, I'm not sure actually. There might be a space here, to be honest. But I looked at the pictures on the website and I couldn't see where it should be. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's let that dry, and I can always paint that skeleton up quite quickly if I decide to use it. So this has been sitting on my workbench for a while. I don't think I'm going to do anything more to this. The more I look at it, the more I like it. So I'm just going to leave that there. So what I need to do now is work on the shelf. So I've got some wood, which is an offcut of another shelf that I cut down, and the width of this is 25 centimetres. So my initial thought was to cut a bit of the shelf 25 centimetres wide and then trim it back however long I want, and that'll be good. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking I might actually do it to the size of this packaging. So I'll do it that width and that depth, and then I'll stick this on top, have this stuck down on the front, and then this can just sit on top of like that, or however I want. And I think that'll look quite nice. It's going to be a little bit deeper than I want it to be, so the only alternative I've got to that is actually to cut it so it's made like this, and then cut this here and stick it on front. But in terms of the width, that's going to be the right width. So I'm going to measure that, take it down to my table saw, rip this down to 20 centimetres wide, and yeah, then have a play around with actually how deep I want it. So I'll do the first cut. Have a look at the play, bring you back and show you what I've decided. Alright, so I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about this, and I think I've come up with what I want to do. So as you can see, I've trimmed this down like I said I would. So we've just got the logo. What I've also done is cut some strips so that I can glue those on the side. So we've got 2 strips there, and somewhere here I've got one for the front as well, which I did cut. I'm not sure where it's gone. Oh no, I don't need to cut that front, do I? Because that's going to go on the front, so that'll be hanging down there. The other thing that I've decided to do is, rather than mount this on the wall underneath it, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to screw and glue it onto the bottom of the frame. So I'll get my drill 2 small holes through here, and then glue this in place, and then when that's been glued, I will screw it in place, and then I will use my 90 degrees here just to make sure it stays completely square. That was very loud, oops. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to do before I do any of that screwing and gluing and what have you is I'm going to need to stick these in place. So I've got some PVA glue, and I'm going to try and do this all at once if I can. So I'll put some glue on the sides, just a little bit, don't need loads. And then I will clamp that in place so that it dries. There we are, that's good. The funny thing was, while I was cutting these end bits, I actually found the magnet, tried to cut through it. So that's going to go on the inside, that little bit of damage is going to go on the inside, like so. But I'm going to need to clamp these in place. So I might end up not getting the greatest of footage of this. Put a little bit more glue on that, it's soaked in a bit. I'll put a little bit more glue on both sides actually, just to be a little bit more on the, to be certain. There we are. So yeah, so I'm going to get those glued on and clamped, and then I'm going to try and do the front as well and clamp it, but we shall see. Now I don't know if my small clamps are going to be big enough for this. They're not. Right, let me just quickly grab some bigger clamps. Well, I've ended up having to get the really big clamps out, and I think I might just do this over multiple gluing sessions. So I'll glue these side ones on, let them dry, and then glue the front on, let that dry, and then glue. But I might be able to glue the top on, because I can do that with a weight. Yes, I'll glue the top on, and I'll weight them down with these, and then I'll glue the front on separately, because yeah, that's not going to work, is it? So anyway, yeah, so I'll get that glued down now, and I'll bring it back when I've done all of the gluing and I'm about to start doing the drilling. As you can see, I got my clamp on, and I think that these are all glued on fine now. I'm literally checking while I'm on camera. I did have a problem with the top, in that when I initially glued it down, one side didn't actually adhere properly, so I had to put some more glue on and use these little clamps. But that's now looking really, really cool. So the next thing that I want to do, and I have done a test of this on here, is I'm going to use my Liquitex matte varnish, and I'm going to varnish over all of this, so over the top and the sides, just to seal it and make sure that it can't get damaged too easily. So I'll do that off camera because I don't need to see that. So I'll clear away all of these clamps, and then we're going to have a look at doing some drilling on the frame. Right then, so here is the shelf and here is the frame, and I'm going to drill through from the front end, because I don't want to, I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark some crosses. I think I'm going to put 3 screws in. So we'll drill in these 3 locations. Move that out of the way now. I will use a bradawl to start the hole, because then my drill won't slip, and then what I'll do is I will use my rotary tool to do the actual drilling. I'm not going to use a large drill to do this. I want to do quite a thin hole. Going to do long thin screws. So yeah, I have my Dremel out here now. Here we are. So I'll get that done. I won't do that on camera because it's going to make a nasty noise. So I'll drill through those, and then once the gloss or once the matte varnish has dried on the actual shelf, I'll screw it in place first, I think, and then filler. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. The alternative is for me to glue it in place and then put the screws in through the glue. I'm kind of umming and ahhing on that, but you'll see what I do because I'll bring you along. So I'll get this drilled, get the varnish on, and then we're nearly done. Put this back on the wall, which is really cool. Alright, now we come to the fun part. So I've got a lump of 10x10. I've clamped down the base to that 10x10. I've put some screws in already, prepared the screws. And now what I'm going to try and do, whether this works on camera or not is another question. But what I'm going to try and do is get these screws in. So let's see. So I've got one a little bit in. This is actually going to be really hard to do while filming, I think, but hopefully you're getting the impression. Needs to be upright. This is hard work. What I should almost do is, now I've got that one, now I've got the middle one kind of holding it, I should probably drill a guide hole through on the outers, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm going to do that on a faster setting and get it to go in a bit easier. Let's see, shall we? Oops, that came undone, but I think I've got the first one in. So let me just get a little bit more light on that. So yeah, I've got the first screw in, as they say. Now let's see if I can get this one in. There we are. There we have it. So if I put that on there, there we have what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go and hang this on the wall now, and then I'll show what it looks like. Well, there it is. Done. Very pleased with that. That has turned out perfectly. Very happy with the little display. Now I need to do the other ones. Got more from Patrick Jones. One there and one there. I don't know whether they've got any resin. I can't remember. But either way, very pleased with that. I'm very happy with how it looks. And had a lot of fun making that, and getting it on display is just awesome. So yeah, and I'm glad I had the idea to just like attach it to the frame, because otherwise we'd been drilling in here, and it wouldn't have been able to be moved somewhere else if we want to put it up somewhere else. So yeah, that's worked out really well. Brilliant. Project complete. Well, there you are. As I say, a really enjoyable build, and I really do love walking past and looking at that when I come into room 13. Now I do have a lot more Mindwork Games stuff, as regular viewers will know and will have seen in my regular unboxings and what's been delivered. And I do have plans to do more of these, because I've got different paintings, and I do have the sculpts made for those paintings. So that might come over the coming months and years. We shall see. But I'm really, as I said, love it. I thought a really creative way of displaying it, and yeah, it gives me a lot of joy to look at it. So let me know if this has inspired you, if you've done anything similar yourself. I'd love to hear about that. And if this has made you think that you might want to do something, then again, let me know in the comments below. I do reply to all of them, as I said in the intro. So yeah, don't hesitate to say hello there. And if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate that. And as I always say at the end of all my videos, to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.